Let's get physical. It is Jordan here, back again with this week's update on all the Nintendo Switch 1 and Nintendo Switch 2 releases, June the 2nd until the 6th. Yes, it is here. Are you getting the bubbling hype of excitement within? Or was that the curry you ate last night? It could be both. Yeah, so now this video series is expanding and I'm still not sure about the structure of what would be best, so bear with me while I find my feet in this strange time. I think normally I will start with Switch 1 releases before moving on to Switch 2. However, due to the Switch 1 releases staying well clear this week, and it is the Switch 2's birth, I'm gonna start with the Switch 2 on this occasion. Let's jump in. Mario Kart World is obviously the biggest game this week. Obviously, it is the game that's gonna kickstart the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, Mario Kart has gone open world, and it does seem pretty snazzy. I've been playing a lot of Mario Kart 8 recently, due to it being the end of term for me, and letting my students play, all 500 of them, so it's been fun, and I am in the mood. I wouldn't say I'm excited, but I am intrigued to see how this plays out. Will it have that long-term appeal for those who play online competitively? Will it have standout tracks? There is a lot to uncover. And also, is anyone actually going to be buying this? Surely everyone is just getting the bundle because it's cheaper, right? Is Mario Kart World Physical gonna be rare? I'm joking, of course it's not. And my executive producers, Instacritic, Jeddah Crow, Super Ben Julio, Cookie Kid, and Ethan Blue have chosen this as their pick of the week. Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma is releasing on Nintendo Switch 1 and Nintendo Switch 2 with the Nintendo Switch 2 edition, which includes higher res visuals, better frame rate, and the use of the Joy-Con 2's mouse feature. This is Marvelous's first game on the Switch 2. They have 3 totally announced so far, and they are all proper cartridges in the West, so I massively hope Marvelous are supported for this. You don't need to show Nintendo because Nintendo will always do proper cartridges. It's the third parties you need to win over, and Marvelous are a very prolific publisher with many games every year, so I hope their consumer friendliness is rewarded. This needs to be a success. The future of physical media may depend on this game. This is an action RPG with farming and life sim elements. It looks pretty sweet and hopefully is a step up from the misaligned Rune Factory 5. At least we know the frame rate will actually be alright this time. And my executive producers, Rose, Azrith, Alexander Cato, Cartoon Soren, The Nemo 6, Kevin W, Ghost Bune, Feig, Josh Foot, Danielle O, and These Nuts have chosen this as their pick of the week. Yes, more than Mario Kart, I love it. And if you want it, you want to support it, or any of the retail games in this video, please consider purchasing via the links in the description and pinned comment. That massively helps support me and this series to keep producing useful physical content for you guys. VGP are a really good company with cheap enough prices in Canadian Monopoly buckage and free worldwide shipping on orders over 75 Canadian bucks, which is like 53 American dollars. Plus, each week, if you buy something via my link, you are put into a draw to have a chance of winning a $10 discount coupon. And this week's winner is Jesse FP. And by the way, as a special occasion for the release of the Nintendo Switch 2, next week there will not be a $10 winner. No, VGP will pick 5 winners. This is a thank you from me to you for your support, for you helping the channel grow, which, you know, hopefully it can keep doing so into the Switch 2's life. Really, thank you all so much. And just to let you know, the time frame for this is Friday just gone up until the upcoming Friday. So if you bought something via my link over the weekend, you will still be in the draw. I will announce all 5 winners in next Monday's video. Once again, thank you all so much. Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition is another proper game on a proper cart. You cannot accuse CG Projekt Red of half-arsing things. I know since this game's initial release, they came under some flack, but I think they pulled it back, right? I don't know, I didn't follow the drama, but I am very much on board with this. And again, it is a third-party title that is on a proper cartridge, And this is even more surprising for me because the game is like years old at this point. You'd think they'd fought it out on a game key due to age alone, but no, they're being dudes about it, and let's hope it is a roaring success. I've never played the game before, so I am very much looking forward to delving into this massive game on my Switch 2 if it ever arrives. It always seemed like it was right up my alley. And my executive producers, Switch Effect, Louis K, Radio to Rancid, Ishin, Thorn Metal Luna, Jake Vav, Vey, Punky Dooster, Jennifer M, Vast Neon, Dave Hurstwaite, and Wixit have chosen this as their pick of the week. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild for Nintendo Switch 2 edition. It's been on Wii U, it's been on Switch twice, and now it's time for a physical release on Nintendo Switch 2. I mean, part of me is thinking, you know what, this may make me want to jump back into the game. I love it. It was in my top 10 Switch physical releases that I made at the weekend. Better frame rate, better visuals, load times, and don't forget that compatibility with the Nintendo app. Woohoo! Now, of course, if you own the Switch 1 version already, you can just purchase a cheap enough upgrade. I think it's like $10 or something like that. And considering 35 million people own this on Switch 1 already, I don't see many people needing to buy this. I mean, it doesn't even include the DLC, which is mind-blowing. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom for Nintendo Switch 2 edition. Now, this is probably one I will pick up because I still didn't get the Switch 1 version. Again, it's more of the same but presented better. The upgrades or content, it's not significant. Another adventure, a massive one that can keep you occupied for hundreds of hours or more. Hence why a workaholic such as myself has put it off for so long. I can't dedicate that time right now. But my executive producer, Sora Cat, has chosen this as their pick of the week. So that is literally the launch at retail in the West for Nintendo Switch 2. Only one game that's new and unique to the system. Most of the games announced are enhanced editions of Switch 1 games, and this was 100% made to be a Switch Pro, like the Switch 2. No, it was designed to be a Switch Pro before some accountant told them to call it Switch 2 so they can sell 10 times the units. You cannot convince me otherwise. Which actually makes me feel a little better because I think the Switch 1 might actually have a very long end life, with Switch 1 physicals being produced long into the future but also have some cheap paid upgrades for a Nintendo Switch 2 version. I guess we'll have to see. But what we also have to see is the dreaded game key clownery. I have to mention them, at least briefly. People who stick their heads in the sand are weak. Real men face the adversity, so let's face them. Just stick a pair of socks down your pants first. It may give us the upper hand during the stare down. For those unaware, game keys come with a physical cartridge, but there is little to no data on that cartridge. If you pop it in your Switch 2, you are required to download the entire game. So very quickly, the game key clowneries. Street Fighter 6 Years 1 to 2 Fighters Edition is a launch day game key. I care less about this one since I don't care much for the Street Fighter series. I know it's a classic, a legend, but aside from having mild fun playing with friends back in the day, I've always preferred to be terrible at other fighting games. Even worse news is that DLC comes with a download code in it. Like, you can't make this crap up. Yakuza 0 Director's Cut is a random re-release of one of the Yakuza games. They dumped a random one on the Wii U as well, and look how well that turned out. It has new voice actors, has more stuff, so I'm sure it's going to be fine. I'm just bitter it's a game key. Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD Remaster, another disappointment. I like the original game quite a lot, was one of my favorites on the 3DS, and this remake looks solid. I wonder if they tweaked the ending part though. Anyways, I won't be buying it because of the game key. Hogwarts Legacy. After a rocky announcement, it seems like the Switch 1 release does in fact have an upgrade pack, and considering the eShop had the game like heavily discounted very recently, you could have gotten this Switch 2 version for a really decent price. But anyways, the physical is a game key. Hitman World of Assassination Signature Edition, late port at launch, pretty typical for a Nintendo console. I'm sure it's fun, but just not as a game key. Puyo Tetris 2S. Why this had to be a brand new release for a 2v2 mode, who knows, ask Sega. Sonic Cross Shadow Generations. I'm sure Sonic fans will love an updated version of this game, running better, and I think having slightly more content. Sadly, there is no upgrade path for Switch 1 owners last time I checked, so it's kind of a double slap in the face. And those are the game keys at launch, but you can't forget the classic. Oh yes, here we go. Code in a box bullshit! Sid Meier Civilization 7, Nintendo Switch 2 edition. Code in a box, Split Fiction. Code in a box. Okay, now Nintendo Switch 2 imports. Japan does have some exclusives. Some of them have English. Sadly, at the moment, they are all game keys, so maybe in the future it'll be great, but so far, let's have a roundup. Game key imports roundup. Kunitsu-Gami, Path of the Goddess, is a game key with English. Very sad there's no proper physical for this. Survival Kids, Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster. Man, you're breaking my heart. Those are the ones that have English, but also in Japan they are getting Nobunaga's Ambition Rebirth with Power Up Kit Complete Edition and Shine Post Be Your Idol. These two releases are game keys and they don't have English, so they are extra doubly worse. And that is completely the Nintendo Switch 2 at launch. Okay, let's jump into the pure Nintendo Switch 1 releases. Understandably, the only Western retail is Rune Factory, which I've talked about already. It is worth noting though that unlike the Switch 2 version, the Switch 1 edition is also coming in a collector's edition if you want it. So yeah, that's retail for Switch 1. Of course, everybody's avoiding it like the plague this week because of Switch 2. So let's jump into the low print limited releases. Rick Henderson is VGNY's latest physical release. I truly do admire them. Bringing this out during this time, a small, simple indie shooter with about 8 different physical release versions of it, pre-orders during the Switch 2's release. It is ballsy. This is basically the game Steridon, but not Steridon. Same visual appeal, same gameplay concept, shmup roguelike, etc. I haven't played it, but I do wonder if it's got the same punch as Steridon. The music, the crunchy sound effects, the visual effects, that really added to some solid gameplay. If it's got that amount of production, this could be really awesome. You can pre-order this on VGNY Soft's website, or you can order it from VGP as well. And my executive producers, Dave Horworth, and my brand new executive, Nerdy Sean, have chosen this as their pick of the week. Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 2 Sisters Generation. Well, it is here. I guess the first game's rebirth was successful, they're now following it up with the second game. Just a reminder, this was cancelled for its Western release because Nintendo of the West would not accept it. So this Asian release is a nice workaround since it has English. Now, last month or so they did the first game, but the collector's edition of that just sold out, at least at Play Asia. I'm writing this on Saturday and VGP still have some copies left of that. This JRPG will be available to pre-order on Thursday. Yes, on Nintendo Switch 2's release day, the absolute madmen, they are opening pre-orders for a Neptunia game. You gotta admire the ballsiness, in a standard edition as well as a 2,000 copy limited edition. You all know how it works by now. They will have a standard editions until their license run out or whatever, but the limited edition is limited. And if you want it, come back here on Thursday. Click the links down below and you can support me at the same time. I'll also have a video out probably telling you about it, giving you the announcement. So yeah, I'm sure this is gonna be equally as popular. Okay, let's jump into the imports for Nintendo Switch 1. And as always, if you purchase from Play Asia, you can get 5% off if you click my link and use the code Jordan2025. And as an aside, if you're new here, or maybe you're not the kind to normally do so, please do subscribe. The bigger this channel is, the more publishers will pay attention to the demand for physical media. Plus, I want to get to 30,000 subscribers before the end of the year if possible. I'm on track, so help me out. SaGa Frontier 2 Remastered is the biggest import this week, that is for sure. I mean, it's a Square Enix JRPG from the PS1 era. Of course, it is an essential import. It's only releasing in Southeast Asia and it does have English. Well, okay, there may be a Hong Kong edition too. However, I would err on the side of caution with that one since I'm getting conflicting reports with my research as to whether that has English or not. Stick with the one linked below, okay? it has an English cover, it has English in the game, and it's a beautiful JRPG. Of course, it is a bit idiosyncratic with its two protagonist stories that jump all over time, but it comes together really well after a slightly confusing start. I like it a lot, and if it's anything like SaGa Frontier 1 on Switch, it will be one of the biggest imports of all time. And my executive producers, Brent McLean, Robotech, G Bautista 100, God of Resin, Adamantium, Surfacing for Air, and my brand new executive, Kaba Clavacol, have chosen this as their pick of the week. Illvelo Swamp Happy Together is releasing in Japan this week. There's no English, at least that I know of, but it is a shooter, so may not be essential. As I always say with this developer though, maybe English is a bit more necessary than normal because of how weird and trippy they are. There's often a bit of banter and a bit of instructions going on. I do enjoy this developer's work, but it does require a little bit of extra effort. Having Google Image Translate on standby is advised. It's coming in a standard as well as a collector's edition. Japan is also getting these games, none of them have English. Whew, alright, let's jump into the community spotlight. I had 49 photos sent in, so it's gonna be quick, okay? Executive producer Switch Effect sent in this photo of the entire Xenoblade series on Nintendo Switch. I have to say I was mildly disappointed there was no reveal or tease of the next new game for the Switch 2. Like, why did they do that? Executive producer Dave Hallworth sent in this photo with plenty of culture, the kind of games that probably stop some people becoming night slashers. The Fallen Starlight sent in this photo with a couple of great JRPGs. I know the first Riser game did get a reprint, but the prices are going up again. Executive producer Instacritic sent in this photo, always with something super obscure to look at, like a Voice Love on Air, an import exclusive that I thought no one would import, but I was wrong. The Esoteric Camel sent in this photo, despite living in Japan, still repping the North American physicals occasionally. That's why having a region-free console is so wonderful. Executive producer Kevin W sent in this photo with the 100 line. There is a frenzy for this game right now. The print wasn't so big initially, so eBay, they're trying to get in on the action. Prices are quite high, but hopefully there is a reprint soon. Executive producer Feig sent in this photo with Battle Cats, one of the few Switch physicals with sideways box art. Still not sure how I feel about that. Executive producer Vast Neon sent in this photo with Cyber Shadow. I'm surprised that this is still in stock at Super Rare Games. I mean, it did get a higher than average print run, but still, I thought it would have been gone by now. Executive producer Adamantium sent in this photo of Dusk Diver. Definitely think that's a bit of a hidden gem on the Switch. Much better than the sequel too. Executive producer Brent McLean sent in this photo picking up that Hokkaido game. I still wonder why the price was so high for that. Can anyone tell me like a good reason? It looks like a good game, but it was higher than average, so I am curious. Executive producer Super Ben Julio sent in this photo with his pick of the week from last week, Pipistrello. Looks like a great top-down Zelda title. Executive producer Vay, my man in Japan, sent in this photo with the motherload of imports from last week. It was crazy. And look at that Fuga box set that is waiting for many of you out there. It looks tasty. Riggs130 sent in this photo with one of those Atari Recharged games. I've heard they've been doing a pretty good job of reimagining the classic games into something more modern. I may have to give them a try one day. Cultured Weeb lived up to his name. If you didn't see my video, Moro Chronicle H is available at VGP right now. It got a reprint finally after many years, and you don't need to pay almost $100 to get it. You can see it next to its sequel, but this one is much rarer, or at least it was. Twig E sent in this photo. I decided on doing a shmups video. I've done my initial research and now I've asked my Discord to check through my list, see if I've missed anything. Hopefully I can have it out to you sometime this month. And of course it will include Akai Katana Shin. Law San sent in this photo with a better hookah haze. I've seen conflicting reports about this. Some have said the game came outside of the box. Some said it came inside of the box. Some said they got it inside and outside of the box. They got 2 copies by mistake, bonus. Red Rose Reaper sent in this photo with the Persona releases on the Switch. That's all of them, right? I just want a chance to get in Persona 4 without having to scramble for it. Executive producer Danielle O sent in this photo picking up Fantasy Life I. The video I made for it is almost the most watched video on this channel already. It did very well. There is a fever for this game and it deserves it. It's fantastic. Mute Key sent in this photo with the Genesis collection. I do wonder what Sega's plans are for this, since they've delisted this game from every digital store. They're gonna find a new way to sell Genesis games while annoyingly ignoring Master System, Saturn and Dreamcast. James D sent in this photo with a bunch of games from Limited Run. They did eventually come to the rescue for a Western release of Magical Drop after it was dropped by Forever Limited, so to speak. Eric G sent in this photo. A little birdie told me that Iron Meat might be having another comeback, but without Strictly Limited's involvement. Pretty much the game that saved the company, but I think they know the demand for this awesome game is there, and that's nothing concrete, by the way, it's just a rumor I have heard. Executive producer Rose sent in this photo with a bunch of visual novels. Not sure what's going on with that English cover sheet of that obscure import. I'm guessing it's homemade, but I don't know for sure. Executive producer D's Nuts sent in this photo, also grabbing Chronicle H because I think, they are contractually obliged to do so because of their name. Executive producer Cartoon Soren sent in this photo of Turok 3. Another thing I heard or read, I can't even remember from where, but it is rumored that Turok is getting a triple pack release in Europe, which would be right up my alley. I've been asking for that for years. Alright, let's have a roundup. Reg. Pabs. Robin H. Bent S. Pixel Art Man. Sandra K. Devil Angel. Andrew R. Stefan N. Madhawk 110. Dead Bunnies YouTube. Kraken. Brian G. Jedi Boy Scout. Sojan. Scumbag. McLaren. Starvey. Fishman. Skip to the end. Don't skip to the end, that's the name. Burning Kitsune Mask. Kresalak. Mr. Matt Hobb. Polar TM. Shlomo. Alright, if you want to send me your pictures, the details are on the screen right now. As always, special thanks to my executive producers. Here we go, they're ever growing. Dane Wilkinson, God of Resin, Brent McLean, Alexander Cato, JCross7776, Punkaduster, Cartoon Soren, Robotech, Raven Knight, Thorn Metal Luna, Issa, Vey, Instacritic, Precision Plague, Alex M, Feig, Josh Foot, Ishin, Lewis K, Kevin W, Jennifer M, Super Ben Julio, Double Dave, Husway and Hallworth, Wixit, Sora Cat, The Nemo 6, Ghost Bune, G Bautista 100, Rose, Adamantium, Azrath, Jake Vav, Ethan Blue, D's Nuts, Jeddah Crow, Brotorius, Surfacing for Air, Justin PDC, Vast Neon, Cookie Kid, Radio to Rancid, Murphy, Danielle O, Switch Effect, Cava Clava Call, and Nerdy Sean. Thank you so much for your support. We are going into the Switch 2 era, and I hope you can join me. Don't worry, I will never forget about the Switch 1. It's always going to be here. Take care.